Let's go. I was in the green room. That's our virtual green room, and I'm doing electric slide. Dun,
Oh,
dun, dun,
her
dun.
own party, y'all. Her own party.
Look at you all, your Wimbledon whites. I have to up my game. Terry Dyer, what's happening, brother? Welcome to another episode of what?
Grits and Glitter.
Is that our theme song? Grits and Glitter. Your pipes are working today, Charles.
Yeah, I know.
What's your warm up? What's your warm up exercises? What do you do?
It's a lot. I will never forget when I was in college and I was competing as a collegiate volleyball player, and I would sing the national anthem at all of the finals at all of national championships, right? And so I would have to warm up after playing, right, to sing it. And so some of our women's team would say, "You sound like a seal. Shut up."
Oh my God. That's
I will
hateful.
never forget that.
That's hateful.
We were on a plane and they started making noises. Like almost my whole team would start making noises to make fun of me. And they would be like,
that is
because I make sounds like that when I do exercises. Yeah,
that is hateful. And you actually do your vocal coaching via Zoom, right?
We do. So
how does that work?
I've had the same vocal coach since my early 20s. We met when I was at Chico State. Shout out Wildcats. We met, 1999 maybe.
Yeah.
And even though I had, my opera director, my private coach, this woman, African-American woman, soprano from New York, unbelievable. She said, you and I need to talk. And at 19 years old, she was like, "You're going to be my child." And she has been my coach ever since. The school didn't necessarily like it, but they don't like you to work with outside people when you're in their programs. But this woman is unbelievable. Shout out to Margot, who has been taking care of me since I was 19 years old vocally. Yeah.
Do you still get nervous?
To perform?
Yeah.
Not really. I tend to, if there is any nervous energy, I tend to take that nervous energy and turn that into the storytelling, right?
Mm-hmm.
As we all know, as we watch movies and theater and musicals, we connect with people, the characters, with their story, the message that they're sending. So I just take that nervous energy and try to channel that into the message of the song, or whatever it is I'm performing. So yeah.
Come on, Leontine Price.
Hello, one of my favorites. What's going on with you this week, brother man?
Well, still people, contrary to popular belief, people think I have stopped preaching. And on Sunday morning, I was just speaking at a place called Unity, a Pompano Beach Spiritual Center. I was there last weekend, and I was speaking on divine order. And I'm still out there. I still, minister. If I'm ever invited into a church, somebody want to hear the word from an openly queer Black minister, I'm available.
Love it.
You gotta bring me out. You gotta pay for my hotel though. And you gotta pay for my flight. Listen, I can't do charity work right now. So anyway,
Hello?
But I was talking about divine order. And what I realized too, I always teach what I need to learn, and I always learn what I need to teach. And, divine order for me has been, and I've been saying this on social media, follow me on social media, Rev Skip Jennings, that you get to look at your life, that everything that you're doing is in divine order.
Yeah.
Everything. And we get to take this idea of divine order that we're connected with, that this is an order that loves us, that we live in a friendly universe and everything is working for our highest good. No matter, even if you feel like the shift is hitting the fan, and I said the shift, because that's what happens when the shift is hitting the fan, you got to turn to what you truly believe.
Absolutely.
So it's been a wonderful experience, staying out there, being on the pulpit. I love it. That's one of the places that I love so much. I love speaking the word of God. I love speaking and preaching and teaching. That's my wheelhouse. And, part of this, what we do in the podcast, is part of my ministry as well. Because there are
Absolutely.
people that listen to this podcast that might not ever go into a church. You know what I'm saying?
I do. I do. I will say this also. I will say this. And I've done some of your virtual preachings that you've done. I've attended a few of those. What I will say, and I think this is so very important for all of our amazing listeners and supporters and followers out there, just because someone's title is reverend or just because someone is spiritual doesn't mean that their message is always, deeply rooted in the Bible or coming from a place of, this particular religion or whatever. What I think is so incredibly fascinating about you and many folks that preach this, if you will, is it's more so about love, respect, and humanity.
Yeah.
That's what the word is. It's not about getting caught up in the Bible this and Bible study and this and this and this. You're really just speaking from a place of love and acceptance, and that is what's so important and so incredibly admirable.
Oh, thank you, brother. Thank you. But it's so an and is never a but it's an and. And I see the work that you do when you get on stage as well. And I guess we're having a love fest with each other. I see that you bring out the heart of ministry for what you do as well. And just reading your books and the things that you have done, you have a message, and your message inspires. And I remember when we did gospel brunch in Wilton Manors. I don't think the folks were ready for that. I don't think they were ready for that. But you brought the ministry, yo. You brought the ministry to a place where people probably haven't been in a church in a long time. So you organize an event where people can see, this is gospel music. This is black, as my mama says, it's black folks music. And and we'll share it with you, but know the roots. Know the roots, my friend. Know the roots. But I mean, gospel brunch was phenomenal. How did you feel about gospel brunch? Because you were up there on your heels, you had your flowing outfit on, you were absolutely fabulous. How did you feel about gospel brunch?
I love doing that event. That was, I think, the fourth one that we've done here in Wilton Manors. Shout out to the incredible team and staff at Hunter's Nightclub, the owner, Mark, my dear friend, Bruce and Diego and everybody. They are such amazing people. And what I love about them so much is that they're all about creating an elevated experience and bringing all walks of life, right? Race, ethnicity, gender, none of that matters. They just want their patrons to have such an incredible time in their space. And that's what I'm all about, right? Just giving people an incredible experience to, leave feeling uplifted and positive and having a good time. So that event means a tremendous amount to me. And I believe it means a lot to them because they don't typically have shows like that in their space. And if they can continue to provide space and opportunity to uplift and amplify our community, that's what they're going to do. So anytime I can do that, I love it.
And your concert's coming up too. And if you're in the Florida area, the Southern Florida area, please come. That's going to be June what?
27th, June 27th. Yeah.
27.
It's called Being Black and Gay.
Oh, child, like you don't know anything about that, do you?
Nah, child, not at all. Not at all. Who's that? What's that? No.
It's really amazing, and we're making waves with this podcast and also our column. So shout out to Out SFL that we are writing stuff. We have our fourth article that's coming out really soon for May, and then we're working on something else coming up. And I really love how we're taking this message out to the world. About lifting and elevating queer voices, and that's what we're talking about. We're talking about that today. But what I'm very, very excited is about the people who are coming and supporting us. We have people that are supporting us, my brother. Love it.
We're doing. So often I joke and say, "Listen, we're all out here trying to do the Lord's work, right?" And again, it's not a religious thing. It's just more so about giving back and taking care of our community. It's taking care of our humanity. It's reminding folks that regardless of what's happening in our society and all the trials, the tribulations, the hypocrisy, the politics, we still have to support and take care of each other because if we don't, who's going to do it? You know, I do want to say something too about the preaching, and as you were talking about the gospel brunch. In my previous life, one of the things I feel like I might have been was a pastor.
Lord have mercy.
Sure. I do.
I love it. I love it.
I didn't know this for years, but you know, my family has shared with me in the last like 5 years that my biological father preached. And I'm like, well, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. They told me he preached and he sang. I don't know if he was any good or whatever, but they said, I don't know. Like he knows, I don't know how. In the words of Mariah Carey, I don't know how. But apparently he preached and he sang. So it would make sense.
That's amazing.
You know, I try to not censor, but I try to pull myself back from having, you know, feeling the spirit, and sometimes it comes out in every presentation that I do. So it makes sense.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So how was your week? What's going on?
Yeah, the week's been really, really good. Yeah, the week's been really, really good. And I'm excited that we get to come back in. And today we're talking about elevating Black voices. And I think that's a very important thing that we're doing. But we have to do a shout out for our sponsor. Yes?
We do. And I love them so dearly. I want to give a huge shout out to Cooper Steinmetz Enterprises, LLC. They are a brokerage firm that carries your trust.
Hello now.
They carry your trust, right?
I love it.
They are one of the world's fastest growing third-party logistics worldwide. They are based in Palm Springs, California, yay, my home. And they transport all of your freight. So if you are in need, if you want to reach out, if you know somebody who needs something, these are the folks to call. So shout out to owners, both Chad and Jamie, Cooper Steinmetz. You can reach them. It's on our screen down below.
Hello.
Yeah,
and in the program notes, we'll put the program notes.
Perfect. aabrokerageinc.com and 209-213-709-1. So thank you so much for them to partnering with us and supporting
Shout out. Thank you. Thank you, Cooper. Thank you, y'all.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So here's where we are. We're talking about elevating Black voices, but we have a did you know? Did you know?
Of course. Let's go did you know this week.
Okay, my did you know, and I love this. We both love a certain show that came back with a vengeance. It is, oh my God, we're here on HBO. Do you love that show?
I absolutely love it.
I love it because they go into these places where, and I'm always on edge.
Yeah.
When, you know, I'm always like going, oh my God, are they going to be okay? They go into these places like in the Midwest, and these queens are going in there and they're going, and I'm going, please be careful, and you could go to jail and all that. And I'm just, and you know, I didn't watch it all the seasons, but I'm watching it the last couple of seasons, and it's really have touched my heart.
Yes. I think it is so incredibly brave for folks to go into a space where we are clearly second-class citizens. We are against the laws that they've created in their cities, right? Or their counties. So to go in that space and be authentically yourself, push the envelopes, try to challenge the laws and make it a part of like our normal in society. I think that is unbelievably brave. And I think that's what we need in order to move needles and change perspectives.
We talked a little bit about this, I guess, a couple episodes ago about the importance of drag and drag race. And all these queens, you know more than I do, came through Drag Race and create the show. Is RuPaul like executive producer on the show too? Do you know?
I don't believe so. I don't think she has anything to do with We're Here. Yeah.
Let me tell you, because he's on everything else. So
true. Very true. She's out there making them coins, honey. Them coins.
Is it Patrice L'Oreal?
Latrice Royale.
Latrice L'Oreal. I love her. She is so incredibly funny, but yet to the point. Here it is. I'm going to give it to you. Here it is. Bob the drag queen. Love Bob. Love all that. I love what they bring. I love that energy. They're absolutely authentic.
Yes. Yep.
What do you think about the
Absolutely
new
agree.
cast? Have you seen the new episodes?
I have. I don't miss an episode or a
Okay,
season. So, the first 3 seasons were Eureka, Bob the
Eureka.
Drag Queen,
Yep.
and Shangela.
Right.
Amazing, amazing job. And there were some incredibly powerful episodes in the first 3 seasons. Season 4 now has Sasha Velour,
Right.
has Jada Essence Hall, who I'm a big, huge fan of,
Love her.
Priyanka,
Love
who I'm
her.
learning more about. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. And then, of course, as you just mentioned, Miss Latrice Royale, who
Yep.
I am the biggest fan of. And in fact, I do from time to time get to see Tim, as he's known out of drag. I get to see him and spend time at
Right.
his house from time to time. So
Because he's
shout out.
Floridian.
He's a Floridian, yes. And I might be chatting with them a little bit about bringing Tim and or Latrice on our show. So I have been plugging that a little bit. So,
Linda. Listen, Linda.
Yes. But these first 2 episodes of season 4, whoa, unbelievable. If this is what the season is going to be like, this to me is going to 100% be award winning. They have been unbelievably phenomenal.
Fearless too. I think the word is fearless. There is the beginning episode when they're going to town hall.
Yes.
And it is against the law for you to do performing drag close to any public building, any state building. And it said, we're doing this. They're walking through, and that scene of them walking in, and they're seeing the guard there. I'm going, oh Lord, have mercy.
And they knock on like an officer's. I don't remember the politician.
He's an ally.
Yeah, they knock on his door. They try to go and get information. People are like, "No, you can't come in here." And close the door in their faces. I'm like, "This is real life. This is
real life stuff."
Yeah,
real life stuff.
I'm so excited for this new season.
All right. So, what's your did you know?
So my did you know? Speaking of TV shows, did you know that there are over 50 Black-led shows on Netflix? Did you know that?
Now I do. Tell me. Tell me truth. Tell me some truth.
They're obviously with Netflix, over the last few years, there has been a lot of controversy with Netflix in giving Black actors and actresses their just due or equal pay, things of that nature, right? But what I am most impressed with is the fact that there is a network or a streaming service finally providing space for Black people to represent and be seen by generations to come. In addition to that, viewers have the opportunity to not only see new work, but iconic Black-led shows in our history, right? So there are shows like The Parkers, there's Moesha, there's Cosby. Like
I watch them all. Yeah. Martin. And the new shows. What about the Upshaws? You watching the Upshaws?
I haven't started the new season, but I think that cast is so hysterically funny, and I love me, because I was named after her. Some Kim Fields. So yes, yeah.
Tootie.
Hey.
Tootie. I love Tootie. I love it. And then you have Michael Epps, who's incredible. Who plays the aunt? What's her name?
Oh my gosh. Iconic. My mind. Iconic, actress, comedian. Like, she to me makes the show. She
Absolutely.
makes the show for me. And it's oh my god, now I'm drawing a blank.
I know. What is up with us? What is up?
Oh my gosh, why am I drawing Wanda Sykes. Why am I drawing a blank? Wanda Sykes is iconic.
Wanda Sykes.
She's one of those people to me that like she just starts talking and I'm laughing already.
I think the highlight of the first season was the last line she said when Michael Epps' character has another child and finds out he has another work to do, and I can't even say it because we're gonna get in trouble. And she goes, "Nigga." And I'm sitting there with my brother, and we were watching it. I'm going, "Oh my God, just got real.
They
Just
do. They
got
do.
real." I love it.
What I love is that it's funny, it's made for TV, but that's real life in Black culture.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
we
I
talk
know,
to each other that way. We call each other, and again, this is a controversial thing, but we
I
call each other
know.
the N-word.
And there's a difference between the ER and the A.
Hello,
That part right
hello.
there. And I'm
There's a
always like,
huge difference.
listen to
Right,
this. I'm always saying
right.
this like, I believe, listen, I don't normally use it a lot, but every once in a while, a little colorful. I use it in
Yes,
not in
yes,
mixed company. And I guess this is
yes.
mixed company because we do have non-people of color listening to this. So don't be
And we
writing
thank you.
in. They'll be writing
And
in.
we thank
But
you.
then I believe that there's times where it's appropriate to use it, and there's times where it's not. And if you are not a Black person, you can't use it.
So, yes, I
Yes.
have. Remember, we've always talked about we're not monolithic. We always
Right.
don't share the same opinions.
Right.
I am of the opinion that if we are constantly using this word publicly and
Yeah.
in music, then we're in a way we're giving the rest of the world permission to say it, right? And don't I'm gonna listen. It's not
Woo!
I historically
I
in the
love this though.
culture, I get it. I get it. I choose not to use the word
Yeah.
regardless of what space I'm in. I
Right.
just choose there's better words, right? We
Yeah.
know the deep, rich history with the word. So
Yeah.
why not add on to the problem of the word being used by non-people of color in the first place? Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I dated someone
Oh
in
no, you
2000.
didn't. Don't
I
tell
did.
me this.
I
Don't
did.
tell me.
I dated this little
Woo.
mm,
Da-
I dated him, and when we had after 3 months, we had our very first like dispute or argument. This
mm,
fool had the audacity to call me the N word
No.
three times
What?
in a phone conversation as we're having this dispute,
And
right?
he's a
And it was just a
non-person of color?
disagreement about he is a person. He's Cuban.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, but
He's Cuban.
still.
But here's where I had the biggest problem.
Okay.
He followed up, and I was like, time out, time out. What we're not gonna do is use that word toward me. And he's like, oh, he got a little, there was lots of other colorful language, but he was like, oh, well, this is how I talk. This is how I talk. We talk like this in Hialeah.
Ah,
I said, well, first of all, this is Fort Lauderdale. First and foremost, this is Fort Lauderdale. I said, secondly, I'm not your people from Hialeah. So what you're not gonna do is call me out my name in a space where I find it inappropriate and I'm not comfortable with it.
yeah.
And we're gonna have a problem if you think it's okay to refer to me as my boyfriend. Like, not okay. So
You,
I just feel like the more that we use it as Black people in spaces where it's in earshot of other people, it does give them a sense of like, oh, well, they said it, I can say it.
So here's the thing about this is a great segue into our grits segment because we're talking
Yes.
about elevating Black voices and Black stories and why it's so important. But in this, and because I see it all the time, I hear music, I see it on TV, it is used a lot. Like one of my very favorite shows, brother, was Insecure. Every
Ooh.
other word on Insecure was N-word this, N-word that. And I was like, maybe there is a freedom with a younger generation of being fluid with the word. It's just like, well, Lizzo, well, not even Lizzo, before that, they were, retaking over the word, the B word, bitch. Yeah. And now it's like, bitch, I mean, so is it the same thing as we're elevating our own stories? Is it okay to use this word?
Or are we reclaiming the word, right?
Or reclaiming the word.
Right. Because I think with what you just said regarding the B word, we as the LGBTQ community, to me, we've made that, like, we've repopularized using the B word. We call each other bitch this, bitch, right? So now mainstream America has picked up that word and using it in comedy shows and sketch stuff and TV shows or whatever. Yeah. I think there's this phenomenon of us reclaiming certain words that were negative in connotation, but now we're taking claim in those, like, no, we're going to use them as words of endearment and love and affection, if you will.
So as we are I mean, wow, damn!
I know.
Already the grits already all up in the grits. But let's talk about this. Where I mean, these stories that we need to hear, and we keep saying this over and over again. We're not a monolith. We have to see the good, the bad, and every aspect, because we have seen a lot of cracked out moms from stories from Tyler Perry. We've seen a lot of, very, I say low level vibrational representation of people of color and these elevated stories. So I'm looking for a balance. I'm looking for a balance. But is it still important for us to still tell the stories of these experiences of lower vibrational or lower, experiences of Black folks?
I think the more that we call into this space, the more that we normalize the conversation around storytelling, these words, the cultural colloquialisms, right? Like the more that we have education around that, more awareness around that, I think the better. And I've said this before in different episodes, we tend to sweep a lot of different things under the rug because it's taboo, it's sensitive, it's the unknown. We fear to have these conversations, but we're never going to be able to move forward as a society. We're never going to be on equal playing field or the same page if we don't open up and have dialogue around these different things, right? That's just not, it's not how it works in order to move things forward or to change perspectives or behaviors that we have learned for centuries and generations, right? Like that's what we have to do. And I think if we're all open to having raw, honest discussion,
Right.
then we'll be better off.
So let's take it to the queer folks. I believe that we are here to experience the good, the bad, and the not so good, not so ugly. But there are stories out there of the representation of femmes, of stereotypical Black gay people. I saw this movie called Femme.
Yes.
It blew my mind. It was, and I don't want to give away spoilers because I think everyone needs to see this film. Right. And this film was all about, I'm going to get the name right, Nathan Stewart. I think his last name is a triple name here. Nathan Stewart Jarrett.
Yes.
Incredible actor. And I remember him from Misfits, which was on BBC. He just rocked my world. But from the moment you hit play, and I'm aging myself now on the VCR, but I was streaming. I was not on the VCR. I don't have a VCR in the morning anymore.
Did say it.
I did say it. I did say it. But I gotta say that it was one of those Hitchcock thriller moments. That time you hit play, you're like, oh my God, my heart was racing so much. It was that much tension and that much like, oh my God, what's going to happen, that I had to breathe. So without giving away, it's about this drag queen, very well known, very well liked, and he goes out for cigarettes and he gets bashed.
Yeah.
And he gets bashed by a white gay man that's in the closet.
Yeah.
So the trip is psychological. It is like my heart raced the whole time. What's going to happen? Oh my God. And it ends on this incredible moment. And I'm still not, I'm still like healing from it. It was crazy, man. It's great. It's called Femme and it was out last year. Everyone needs to watch it. But then I realized too, is it fully telling the full story? And then are we getting the negative side of, which we have to see too?
We do.
But it seems like the positive side of drag queens. Do you know any stories of positive side of being a drag queen?
I mean, I know lots of positive stories of of the drag
community. But that's being that's the filming of it, or this on TV, or
I think that the more as we're talking about storytelling, the more that we, share these examples or share these positive lights, share these positive images of drag, right? The more that not going to have a choice after a certain point of time, right? The DeSantis's of the world, right? They're going to have to say, okay,
The
like this is
Satan.
part of our society, right? Exactly. They're just gonna have to accept and respect as a part of our society. The more that we get, people with large platforms, right? Stars, famous people, actors, actresses, normalizing drag as an art form, as a form of entertainment, nothing that's sexual and demonizing or whatever. Shout out to the Sherry Shepherd Show, who had the cast of All Stars Drag Race on
It was
today.
amazing.
Unbelievable.
Amazing.
Unbelievable. It was wonderful to see it on such a prime network, in prime daytime talk, us normalizing drag performing and art and just the joy that we get from drag performing, right? There's the only reason why we have the negative aspects of drag is because Republicans and folks are trying to tear it down, right? They're turning it into a negative part of our society and a part of life. So the more that we can combat that with positivity and storytelling, the better.
Right.
I
Did you ever
did
see?
find.
Oh,
Go
good.
ahead.
I was going to say, did you ever see the Birdcage?
Of course.
I
Of
mean,
course.
that's classic.
Yes.
I
Yes.
remember just Nathan Lane, and just funny,
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah. And I also want to be clear, right? Because I think we
Yeah,
talked about in our drag in politics episode, we talked about this where drag is not anything new, right? It's been around for centuries, but we've made folks like the Birdcage, right? We love Nathan Lane in
yeah,
Birdcage, Medea and Tyler Perry,
yeah.
Martin with Shanae, in Living Color had Wanda, right? Men dressing in dress. Why was it okay for them to do it and we found it entertaining? We laughed our butts off. We gave their shows awards. We got them their own spinoff. We did all of that. But now that we have folks that this is a part of their livelihood,
Yeah.
their everyday lives, it's now a problem.
And part of this is too, and I am just thinking about this because it is a thriller, and them is really challenging to watch some parts.
Yeah.
Are we over inundated by black drag queens that are being either bashed or in storytelling? Are we
Yeah.
being over, inundated? And one of the things we shouted out Netflix, but Netflix had a really not so good, show with AJ and the Queen. I'm sorry. I love you, RuPaul.
Yeah.
I love you, RuPaul. But
I
AJ and the
know.
Queen was, and look, RuPaul
It
was
was just low
amazing.
budget. Call it out, child. It was low budget.
But it was RuPaul. I love everything you do. But was it good? I mean,
No.
I don't know.
She hasn't had a lot of flops in her career.
No. I don't know if this was really a flop or not. I love you, RuPaul. Come on the show. I love you. I love you. Love you. But I'm just asking.
No, I think again, the more that we put drag in spaces where it's uplifting and storytelling and having positive imagery, the better, right? The more that we normalize the art form that drag is, and that to me is incredibly important to state. This is an art form. It's a form of entertainment, just like dance, just like singing, just like theater, and etc. This is an art form, right? And people are mixing drag up and confusing drag so much with sexual acts and beings and all of that. Drag has nothing to do with that.
Some of the very first drag that we ever, became aware of going in the history books is Shakespeare.
Yeah. Hello?
That's
Nobody
where
had a problem with him.
that was that was the term drag comes from, men dressing like women or looking like women. I think even RuPaul said this and stated this. This is in the book. I mean, incredible book that's out there with RuPaul right now. So what other stories would you want to see out there about Black queer life or Black life or whatever? I mean, what would you like to see?
I think for me, I think the everyday life, right? Because it's TV and you have to glamorize it and you have to, get your ratings and all that kind of stuff, or you do things to go after ratings or getting people to watch or whatever. The more that we can put drag just in everyday life, right? Like explaining and expressing what someone goes through in order to be an entertainer in that form, right? Like it's expensive. It's like there's so many different things that people don't necessarily have access to, all the ball gowns and the dresses and whatever, but this is who they are. This is what they want to do. They want to bring life and laughter and joy to the masses, so they choose to do that as their careers and so forth. So I feel like the more that we can show that positive imagery, that's what I want to see, right? But I will also say this, just because we're talking about film, I will also say that it's incredibly important to know that story of film and what happened, that stuff happens day in and day out.
Every day. Yeah.
Right? That is
Every
the
day.
reality that we live in. So the more that we can share the good, the bad, the ugly parts of drag and what people go through, I think the more that people can start to humanize it and start to relate to those types of stories.
And so that's why it's important to tell the full story.
Yes,
absolutely. The full story of it is, it is, life can be joyous, life can be challenging, it could be all aspects. And I think this goes for all Black queer experiences. Do you remember Noah's Ark?
Of course.
Right.
Of course.
And just the experience of seeing these 4 Black queer men interacting with everyday life, dating, going to parties, going to family events. I miss Noah's Ark. I like Logo. I miss Logo.
Absolutely.
What happened to Logo?
I mean, Logo's still around. They still play Will and Grace and RuPaul's Drag Race old seasons. It's still around.
Is it on cable? Is it on cable? Is it on like?
It is. It is definitely on cable for sure. For sure. But it's still around. I agree with you. I miss shows like that because it really does. And again, even though it was television and, they're writing for ratings and things like that, it really did capture, right? Like Black gay love and love between marginalized communities and what people experience. It also showed different types of Black gay men, right? Yes. Again, we say this constantly. We're not a monolith. So there's different types that we have in our community, and all of it needs to be shown and represented. So I do miss Noah's Ark for that. One of the shows that I love, and I haven't watched the latest season, bad Black gay, is, and my aunt in California turned me on to this show, but P-Valley. P-Valley to me is one of the realest. This is how it is in the South with the Black gays of the South, honey. That is real deal Holyfield. We talk, we say what we want, we act the way. It's about sex. It's about navigating this. That's truth and authenticity.
Okay, because I have trouble with that word.
Which word?
You know what P stands for, P-Valley.
Oh, of course I
do. I'm like, I've always had trouble with that word, Terry. I'm just saying. And I saw a couple episodes and I just couldn't really get past a couple episodes, but I hear it's really amazing.
Yeah.
What do you love about P-Valley? Valley?
What do I love about it?
Yes.
As I mentioned, I just love the authenticity. Like, it is absolutely showcasing a different side of Black gay community or Black LGBTQ community. It's touching on subjects that we deal with day in and day out. This is the reality. You're not going to see, the Coleman Domingos of the world every day. That is one part of Black
the safe gays. The safe gays.
Right. Like, there's more to Black gay community, Black LGBT community. And I think P-Valley does an incredible job of, showing that authenticity, the realness and the rawness, right, of Southern, right, living in the South and what that's like. We're not all, we're not all preppy and this and that and, living and talking a certain way. That's not how it works. It's not how it works.
Since we're in the glitter, I got to talk about Pose.
Yes.
I miss
Yes.
Pose. I
So
miss
do I.
Pose. I
So do
miss
I.
it. I mean, I felt like I was at home. You know, I was in New York.
Mhm.
I went to NYU.
Mhm.
I graduated, and at the time in NYU, we used to go to the balls and participate
Yep.
and be on the piers and
Mhm.
watch the queens and the ball culture. I miss that show. I think that was one of Murphy's best shows,
Agreed.
and it showed LGBTQA Black folks, people of color, really living a very challenging life. Can be a challenging
Yes.
life, but
Yes.
making the absolute best of it at a time where people were dying from AIDS.
That's right. That's
But
right.
he brought so much joy and so much like um inspiration to it. I miss Pose. That's probably one of my favorite shows that I've ever experienced.
Yeah. Pose to me was about love and it was
Mm,
about safety and it was about family. It didn't
mhm.
matter what walk of life you came from, you had money, you didn't have money. It reminded me of, regardless of all of the hypocrisy and the hatred that we have in our communities, the divisiveness that we have in our communities, there are still good people out there. And when you find your tribe, hold on to that tribe, put into your tribe what you want to get out of your tribe. And there are still people that welcome different walks of life and different folks with open arms. And I think that's what Pose represented for me, right? And then anytime someone is bringing awareness and education to HIV and AIDS, boo, I'm for it. I'm for it because it's still impacting, it's still infecting, it's still, I don't care what we all
Yeah,
say about medications. The medications are there, but
it
the
ain't
fact
over,
that
baby.
there's
Is what
still
we would say.
people
It ain't
dying,
over. It ain't
no,
over.
no,
It ain't
absolutely not.
over.
Absolutely not.
One of the things I love about Pose, I knew of Billy Porter, but I became obsessed with Billy Porter because
Yeah.
of Pose. I didn't see him in the original Kinky Boots. I did see Kinky Boots with, I think it was with Todrick Hall,
Oh yeah.
and I am a huge fan of both Todrick and Billy Porter. I love that show. I mean, I
Yeah.
cried boohoo at the very end.
Hmm.
Oh, I'm not my father's son. Oh, I'm not. I'm like, you
Yes.
sang that, didn't you?
I didn't sing that song specifically, but obviously that resonated me, not having a relationship with my biological father or whatnot. But I Billy Porter is one of those people, generally speaking, and I love him to death. And he's one of the reasons. There's a few people that inspired me to go into music and then own my authenticity when it came to the music. He was on, especially with his latest album, he was on tour, being interviewed everywhere, Kelly Clarkson, etc. And he talked a lot about how,
Mhm.
early on in his career, people, well, you sound to this or you sound to that, or
Yep.
you're too loud in his approach, in his nature, in his stature, right? And I can empathize with that. I can relate to that, right? Because coming up in music when I was younger, it was, I sang gospel, I sang R&B, and then I got to college, they took all that away from me, right?
Yeah.
So they turned it into more classical and opera. And I'm a little black kid going, black people don't sing opera. Like, what you talking about? They don't sing classical art pieces. What the heck is an art song, girl? Like, I don't know. But seeing him and seeing his musical theater background, his classical training, etc., that I was like, oh, well, there's a space for us, right? So I will always love him because of that specifically.
Mm, I believe that we need another Pose. We need another show that
Mhm.
just listen. We're gonna burn down the doors literally, and hello, here we
I
are.
know. I
Oh
know.
my
I
goodness.
agree. I agree.
So, what else is coming up for you when we're talking about people who are telling stories, not just in TV and movie, books, music? What comes up for you that are elevating these Black narratives?
There were a lot of, especially during the pandemic,
Yes.
there were a lot of different books that came out with respects to amplifying Black LGBTQ voices. We've had some historical ones too. I want to be clear, just because we're talking about these things now, diversity and inclusivity, and a post sort of BLM timeframe, people like Essex Hemphill was doing work right around Black LGBTQ voices, years ago. Audre Lorde was doing, work around that, right? Like, so there's a lot of folks that have been doing this. We just don't necessarily bring attention to them. We don't amplify them at the level of some of these other folks, right? Marlon Riggs, who is a friend of mine from San Francisco Bay Area, right? Like, Marvin White in San Francisco Bay Area. Also, right, Elin Harris. Like, there's so many people that that have done this work, and I think now we're sort of starting to find more people to come into this space. Janelle Monáe, right, in her work and her albums. Lil Nas X, right? Like, we're finding these people that are doing this type of work and speaking out for our people.
So we want to go back, and I just have a list here. I'm pulling up this list here of things that had come forth with a Black LGBTQA theme in movies. Moonlight.
Oh
yes. My God. Yeah. I'm like, are you kidding me? Yes. That really touched my heart. Touched me. And I was like, wow, that changed me. And when it won the Academy Award, I went, okay, there is some movement that's happening here to celebrate who and what we are. Yeah. And then Queen Latifah was Bessie. Remember?
Oh.
HBO. I'm seeing this list here. And we just had Rustin, and we wrote about Rustin. And we always talk about Coleman. Coleman, come on the show. Coleman Domingo. Rustin. Minor Rustin. These stories are very, very powerful. And then, I had another one here that's on the list. I have Bessie here, and I also have the wound that's on the list here. There are shows out there. Paris is Burning.
Oh, iconic. Paris.
And I sit here going, Paris is Burning changed me. It changed me from the inside. Do you remember? Again, the ball scene.
Absolutely.
What were you doing when you first saw Paris is Burning? Where were you?
I don't even remember. I think I first saw it when I was in college. Was it in college? I think I was in college. I know.
Did it touch you? Did it touch you from the heart?
It was a space where when I first watched Paris is Burning, I was not a person that was like completely in touch with being Black and gay. You know what I mean? Like, I knew that I was gay. And for me back then, it was all about sports. It was about my academics. It was about my music, getting that degree. And it was about my love life. Like, those were the things that I was focused on. I did not necessarily and completely connect with what it means to be Black and gay until my late 20s. And that was because of the work that I was now doing in San Francisco. And it were people, and shout out to my former colleagues, my friends, my mentors, that really was like, come here, you young Black gay. Like, they literally was like, come here. Let's talk about all this and what you're doing. You need help.
Mentors. We're missing mentors now. We're missing mentors.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I saw it at, my late teens, early 20s, and it affected me and impacted me, for me watching going, oh my gosh, like, what does this mean? How do I impact this? And of course, I was not around other Black gay people when I'm watching it. I was around, white people, and they were like, oh, that's cute. Oh, that's that. What? Oh, that's fun. You know what I mean? So it was just a whole different conversation.
I remember watching Paris is Burning, and being in New York at the time, and just watching this, I'm going, oh, they're really going to tell the story of the houses, and they're going to tell the story of the House of LaBeija and the House of Ninja, and Willie Ninja. I used to see Willie Ninja out in the clubs on the pier, and I was like, oh, we're going to really tell the story. And then they told the story of how trans women were being killed as well. How you had to protect yourself, and how you had to and they told the true story about how they went in and doing something called clocking. Remember, we're gonna go in there, we're gonna get in
Yep.
there, snatch
Yep.
it, and leave.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
like going, wow, y'all really going deep. Epic story.
Agreed.
Epic,
Agreed.
epic
Absolutely agree.
story.
Absolutely agree. But
Mm,
again, I think that's also what we were saying a few moments ago is we need more of that. We need more movies like Paris is Burning. We need to really dive deep and tell the whole entire story, not just that we're all like RuPaul, love her to death, but we're all like Coleman, who's now being open. Like there's these faces and these images that we have of Black
yeah.
LGBTQ, but we need to look at it from a complete spectrum, right?
Absolutely. And one of my favorite, and I want to talk about a couple of books. One of my favorite authors of all time is James Baldwin
Oh,
and
amazing.
Langston Hughes.
Oh,
And
awesome.
so when we're talking about classic, we're talking
Mhm.
about James Baldwin. There's a great movie, I'm Not Your Negro. Y'all need to
Ooh,
see that. Go
ooh,
and see it. It's out there. It's being
heavy,
streamed. It's
heavy.
like talking about what was happening during the 50s and the 60s and the race and what was happening with races and race relationships. It is poignant now. It is
Yes,
prolific
yes.
now.
Yep.
So we have in Giovanni's Room is a beautiful
Oh,
story
oh,
about these two people that come together and they're in Paris, and it's just love story.
agreed.
So I
Agreed.
believe we need to go back to the classics. We got to go back to these teachers. You said Audre Lorde and her writings, and just it's just something that we need to revisit our roots.
We do. We do.
We need to
I think
revisit
what's so important here, and sometimes someone asked me about a month ago, a month and a half ago, why do you find it so necessary to continue to talk about race relations and empowerment and et cetera, et cetera. And my immediate response, I mean, it took me a moment to really sort of process what that meant or why I
right.
was being asked a question. But my immediate knee-jerk reaction was the sheer fact that you have to ask me that question is a problem, boo boo. Like, hello. Like the fact that you thought to yourself, oh, let me ask him, why is he always talking about race relations? Or why is this an issue? Or why are we still dealing with this? Because we as a society in this country are still dealing with race relations. There's still racism, right? So we have to talk about this.
Yeah.
We still have to talk about, and I think continue to storytell in such an authentic and powerful and empowering way that we can continue to change the narrative and make things a part of a normal conversation, right? I do sometimes get tired of saying, the gay people are your lawyers or doctors or dentists or this. Well, so are the Black gay people too, right? You just talked about, in Paris is Burning and some of these other movies that they covered trans issues. Well, the fact that trans is such a hot topic right now, and this isn't new, right? This isn't new. The fact that we were telling these stories and bringing up these situations 30, 40, 50 years ago, right, tells me that we haven't done the necessary work in order to not have to tell these stories,
Yeah.
in
I
order
hear you.
to not have to bring these things to the forefront and have these conversations, right? We're still
Yeah.
dealing with these things in this day and age. So we have work to do.
We got work to do. And I don't want to close this segment out, this glitter section, without bringing light to one of my favorite forms of art is dance. And still dancing is the Alvin Ailey Dance Company.
Oh,
Alvin Ailey Dance Theater
um,
of Harlem, Alvin Ailey. Can I listen? They're still out there pushing Black art
yes.
and presenting it in such an elegant, beautiful way. Shout out to Debbie Allen. And we
Yeah.
talked about her last episode, but she
Yeah.
is elevating these stories and telling these stories in new
Yep.
ways.
Yep.
One person we didn't talk about last episode was Kiki Palmer.
Oh,
She's bringing this incredible diva self. I absolutely love where we are rising to and more to rise up. I believe so. Whoo,
Agreed.
child. Guess what? It's time to wrap it up, yo. It's time to wrap it up. Who's making a difference? And I'm going to start off with who's making a difference because I love this woman. Very controversial. And I know we're going to get a lot of people calling in, so you just ring in. It's okay. My name is Rev Skip Jennings. So it was an incredible artist. I believe she's incredible and she's controversial. And she is an incredible comedian. She's an activist. She's a writer. She is very extremely smart. And I became known to this beautiful woman from Insecure.
Yeah.
And her name is Amanda Seales. Amanda Seales. She
Yes.
is like, if you follow her on Instagram, girlfriend pulls no punches about the Black experience. And what I love about her freedom to speak her voice and not being afraid and calling people in, but she literally calls people out. And she has a radio show and a podcast, Amanda Seales. I believe that she is the voice that is going to rise up all of us, not just Black folks, not just women, but people of color, LGBTQA. And I believe Amanda Seales is the person that's making a difference in my life. So check her out. And then you can write in and you can tell me how much you like her, how much you don't, but follow her and listen to her. She's very extremely creative. And I love the way she just calls it like it freaking is. Hello. 100%. She doesn't pull any punches.
Nope,
like them or not
at all.
She had an incredible interview with Shay Shay on the Shay Shay Club on YouTube. Did you see it?
I'm going to talk about it.
Okay.
I'm going to talk about it.
Okay. Let me pass over to you, brother.
Perfect segue. Segue. So my who's making a difference is Shannon Sharp of Club Shay Shay on YouTube. So if you don't know Shannon Sharp, he is the epitome of football yoked player. He's so funny. He's providing a safe space for a lot of, big name stars to come on and really just tell it like it is. As Rev Skip was just saying, he really talks about or gets these folks to be open and honest and transparent about their experiences, about trials, tribulations, about controversial things that they've dealt with. I mean, they're talking about everything on his couch, and I love it. And one of the most recent ones was Amanda Seales. She was on it. So when I tell you, listen, ciao. When I tell you I have never been so happy to see the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth being called on, it's incredible. Guests on his show have been ridiculously bold, loud, and uninhibited. And as I said, Amanda Seales was one of those folks recently that's calling him out. He's also had artists like Monique.
Yes, I saw that one.
Ooh, baby.
I know.
Monique, and everyone knows Monique's been blacklisted in Hollywood, and there's all these issues around equal pay and all these things. After winning an Oscar, right. But her on his show, I have mixed emotions and mixed feelings about when Monique was on Club Shay Shay, but man, that called out a sequence of other actions. Cat Williams came on. He had a lot to say about Monique. I mean, it goes on and on and on. But Club Shay Shay is an unbelievably amazing, authentic, raw, honest conversation with these artists. And I love the fact that he does this because I think it's making a difference in providing space for truth and accountability.
Hey, now, truth and accountability, something we don't always see in Hollywood. Hollywood.
Hello.
Oh, my goodness. Time just flies when you're having fun.
It does.
My brother. So we keep teasing this. The website is coming. It's still coming. It is still coming. It's going to be gritsandglitterpod.com. It's coming. But until then, you can follow us on social media.
Yes. Do follow us. Please subscribe, like, share, leave a comment. We'd love to hear
Do all them.
comments and continue these conversations. Again, that's how we
Do
move
all them.
forward. Yeah. Sometimes we'll be funny. Sometimes it'll be controversial. Sometimes we might be uplifting and, whatever. We still want to hear from you.
And part of this is please share. Please tell people about us. Let people know, this is how people build their podcasts. And this is a new podcast. So we need all your help. Ain't too proud to beg. Oh, there is a TLC
you get on me. We can't pay for that.
Wait. But there is a documentary, brother, on Netflix. TLC story. It is so good.
Crazy Sexy Cool. Well, that was a movie. Crazy Sexy Cool was a movie.
I know, but still, the actual documentary, when they talk about everything they went through, and this is going to be another show, but they actually did a show at Glastonbury. It was the biggest show of their life. There was millions of people there, and they still love them. Oh, we can't go back in. We can't go back into the vortex. So, all right, y'all, please make sure that you are kind to people because the world needs your kindness.
Yes. And remember, kindness is free.
It's free.
It don't cost nothing.
Nothing, child. Just be kind. All right, till next time. We love you and peace and blessings.
Y'all.
Remember to like, share, and leave a comment wherever you listen to your podcasts.